Life is sweet. Let it sweep you off your feet.
Good morning. Good morning. This is Allie, and this is Find Your Joy. And lucky us, we have part two, in both official languages, with the fabulous, the wonderful, the awesomely talented, generous, kind, and gracious fellow here, Stewart McLellan. Welcome back, Stewart.
Thank you very much, Allie.
It's good to have you. So I was just rambling a moment ago before I started this. So so first of all, that's what I do. Your hair, your hair
Oh
is
my gosh.
glorious. It's like, I don't know, Samson or so. I don't know what
I'm,
Samson's hair was
well,
like, but
I'm going to have a little party for it. You know, it turns 5 in November. My beloved hairdresser retired and went to Mexico and came back, and it just ties up so well under a hat when I'm working my day job, and I just left it. You just look after it. You wash it now and then and brush it out, and it's not conducive to extreme rock and roll theatrics, however. It gets caught in zippers, it gets
oh
caught under guitar
yeah.
straps. You're constantly flipping it out. When you change guitars, you got to do a flip and switch, and it's quite comical. And there's times when I'm walking around like this because I've got to uncrank my hair from under a strap, and so you learn to deal with it. And those that lust for it, you're really not missing much. It's here. It'll gray eventually. It'll start falling out. It's just one of those life things. But what the heck,
It's
I
gorgeous.
yeah, I look
I
back
mean,
at
you're blessed
I,
with gorgeous hair. What the hell?
maybe it's midlife crisis. Maybe I'm back in high school in my brain or something, and I'm following all of my mentors from afar, so to speak, that were in their 20s growing their hair long. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I thought you had great hair. I mean, I remember when I first met you, it was kind of shoulder length-ish, maybe a little
yeah,
bit more, and it was a 70s shag going on. I
yep.
loved it. It was great. But this is just every time I see you, it's a little longer, and I'm like, are will you are you intentionally, I don't know why I'm talking about your hair, but anyways, I am for right now, and then I'll
Well,
move on to things that are more grand and glorious, I
I was going
promise.
to say, there could be some philosophy behind that. It's a symbol, perhaps it's a symbol for freedom. At one time, perhaps it was a symbol for rebellion. In
Ah.
the 80s, I would get hit on by old men that didn't see me from the front side. Hey, you new in this pub? I turn around, "Hey, brother, oh, sorry, man, and so that could be uncomfortable, but that's just sort of gone away. I find there was a time when my hair was so short you could smell my brains.
Right.
I won't get into it too much. It's a lot more practical to have short hair when you're a young father. When you're running the store, you got a kid in each arm, and that's kind of
Yeah.
thing. You're pushing strollers, and when they're really young, they want to pull on it and they want to do things with it, and it's just uncomfortable, and you don't want to be any more annoyed at them than you are when they wake you up in the middle of the night. So,
That's right.
so it, at that time, there was a practical time for me to have short hair, but the dynamics of my then marriage, no longer married to the mother of my kids, um, there was always a push-pull. Yeah, I think I'm done with the beard now. Yeah, I'm not so sure long hair is you. And she was dressing me in khaki pants and tennis shirts, and that's fine for some folks, but it just wasn't me.
Oh,
And I'm not saying that I came into my marriage as a complete badass with earrings and Harley Davidson paraphernalia and all that stuff and a drug habit. It was part of me had sort of gone away, and I wasn't quite sure who I was. There was nothing that denied that I definitely wanted to be a father, and was very engaged by that and did a good job at that, I might add. But there was part of me that was missing, and it wasn't about replacing one for the other. It's just that my full true self wasn't there. It sort of got put to bed for a while. I didn't play guitar for years. I mean, I'd play in church every now and then, that sort of thing, and I did a bit of teaching, but I was never living my best life or living my full life. I was
yeah.
living for other people rather than myself. In hindsight, I would never trade that sacrifice for raising a young family. It's a full-time job.
Hmm.
And that seems to justify having to put those rock and roll dreams, having to put those things away for a little while, and that was okay.
Yeah.
Could I have had a little better balance? Yes. Um,
I
yeah.
get that when it's funny, and I think this is a good, um, what do I don't know if it's not really a rabbit trail because I think this is all part of it. Humans in general, and maybe us artsy types specifically, is that we can be, I'll just speak for myself. Um, Sometimes, and I've had, I mean, I've been married now for 30 years and in a great relationship, and we've had ups and downs and sorted out and got to the place where we've stopped trying to control each other, which is always a nice place to be, when you start off younger together, right? We can do that. And I know I've been in relationships with people in my life. And this isn't for me anyways, it's like not like you're saying, it's not even about them. They didn't do anything wrong. They're just being them. And they were trying to figure out how a marriage with kids is supposed to look, or what being with the chick singer from the band is supposed to look like, and what you're comfortable with. Because I mean, I've certainly, right, having, especially in my younger cutie patootie tiny big voice days, um, let me tell you, that takes a special guy to be able to handle when I was working in
Yes.
a band full time. That's a special guy that he has got to have his shit figured out, because there are going to be endless amounts of attention thrown at the person, that there's nothing wrong with you wanting that your the woman you love to be your treasured one and only, and you're her one and only, and that's all cool. And my shtick was never as I was never the you know some women are more sexual on stage. It was never my thing. I wasn't that, so I wasn't creating it that way. It just doesn't matter. You know what it's like. You're the person up front. It creates that attention. And so I spent many years leaving bands, having the guys in my band, their girlfriends try to beat me up after a show because they thought for sure something was
Yep.
going on. Nothing ever was ever.
Yep.
Just all those things that happen. And so when you're saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, we get in these things and we sort of decide, oh, I came from church too, so this is what a Christian looks like. I don't even, what the hell does that even mean?
Yep.
But I had that in my head of this is what it should look like.
Likewise, there's a stigma of perhaps in the 70s and 80s of a rock star's behavior.
Yes.
An insecure male, female, doesn't matter, will come into a club and, oh yeah, the lead singer's out to get laid. Well,
Yeah.
that may be true, but that's not true for everybody. And I think in this day and age, I don't know what I'd do if I went and played the field again. I think things have changed a lot. I think we need to be heard. We need to feel safe. We need to be able to trust.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot. That takes a lot of time. I'm very, very fortunate to be in a relationship now where my partner trusts that I'm coming home to her, and if I'm up on stage and I'm being myself and I'm playing rock star and having fun, there's never any pretense, and I can see a mile away when someone's had a little bit too much to drink and maybe they're a little lonely or something like that, and you make some polite conversation and I'm sorry, and you exit. I've got to put this thing away because I have a great excuse because I'm a technical guy. Oftentimes I'm called upon to set up monitors, fix monitors, put things away. In the case of the Dynamic and Sarah Smith band, Sarah's fans follow her around that full month that we're in Europe. So I'm sort of the lead hand in terms of getting everything broken down into the truck. She doesn't have to worry about it. She can do her merch. she's more than capable of flinging amps around and loading a truck. She's had to do it in the past. Unfortunately, I can't figure that out for a second. So it's the Sarah Smith band. It's not the Stewart McLellan band. If it's the Stewart McLellan band, I've hired somebody to pack my gear away, and I can talk to the public and sell albums or guitar picks or shirts or whatever it's going to be the face. So it's important that, and it's not even about this is a band dynamic. I'm in my old age. I'm narrowing everything down to it's about being mature, and it's how you're working in public situations. It doesn't necessarily have to be a club where there's alcohol served. It could be a dynamic in a lineup to get forms done for a passport or something. It's how do you conduct yourself in public?
Yes.
There's could be somebody in line that's pretty cute, and you want to fire up a conversation if you're single and that sort of thing. What kind of person are you? How do you move through the world? How do you present yourself?
Mm.
So yeah, without mentioning any names, house party in my area, we hadn't seen these friends for months and months, and this one person is still jealous that her husband plays in a band with a bunch of other people, and that she's got her eye on every female in the room who might be, and he's this gregarious guy. He's
Yeah.
secure within himself, and he's not going to do anything stupid. Nobody's ever seen it. What is this, high school? You know,
Yeah.
let's
I hear you.
and
It's hard, man.
if you're that kind of person, I think you owe it to yourself to not let it eat yourself up inside. You have to be able to deal with that. I would hate to walk into a room and think, oh God, who's she talking to? I would hate that dynamic. I would say, hey, you introduce yourself, you get to know the people around you. You don't try to move in there with the big chest and, watch out, I'm the guy, I'm her guy. You
Yeah.
know, but that comes with time and experience and putting yourself in a healthier situation. You can sort of smell that stuff a mile away after a while.
Yeah, and I think I don't know what you think about this. I think I wonder too, does it take getting in that, well, first of all, that I became healthier, right? So already I was, for me to get in that relationship, for me to be a participant in that kind of behavior, for
Receive
me
that
to,
from the universe,
yes,
however you look at it.
I had to be insecure enough. I had to be, or making poor enough choices relationally that that was even an issue. Or you know what? Maybe you're just having a bad day and feeling lousy, and that would
Yep.
be okay. Like if David, or if I went to David and said, I'm, I'm sorry, I'm just having a really insecure day. Can you just remind me that we've been married 30 years and love
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other? Like I don't really have those anymore, but I've been there, right? Like there's those. I'm married to a guy in the Navy, okay?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I had to put to
Yep.
rest,
No, looks good. Looks good. You
you
look
know,
good.
a very long time ago, um, all that kind of stuff. I had to come to grips with that because, if you're, I mean, so when he was playing in bands here, I never even thought, people say something, I'm like, oh, really? Like, why would I? He's gone for 6 months at a time without my little evil eye checking out what he's doing.
Right.
So you have to figure those things out, and you
Yeah.
just trust people, or you don't. But I like what you're talking about. There comes a time with maturity and experience, and then just figuring each other out.
Right.
Like I'm not an idiot. So whatever fun I might think I might have with some, you know, I don't know, some little hot cowboy, like whatever, right? Whatever, if in my wildest dream I was stupid enough to think that might be fun, I'm also old enough to play that scenario all the way through and go,
Right.
oh, right, there would be an after. Even if I could do the then, there would
Yes.
be an after I would have to live with myself.
Well, and I boil it down slightly, and being male, I have to simplify things for myself sometimes. Sometimes I look at it as like, well, boy, that ice cream tastes really good right now. And 5 minutes later, am I going to have more ice cream? Eventually, you're going to get physically sick of this ice cream. You're going to be, you're going to have to go to the store to get more ice cream. You're going to be spending this money on that ice cream. What is it doing for you?
Yeah.
Is it supposed to do something for you? It's more about thinking long term, a long term experience as opposed to right here, right now. And believe me, I'm not for those in the dating world, for those that are single and looking or just experiencing life at a younger age. There's nothing wrong with in some kind of life is risk. There's
Yeah.
no reason you shouldn't be exploratory to a point within your boundaries and have some fun.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for that, and I've been in a time and place for that. And there's times when that has taken on a serious tone, and you realize that maybe you're good people, but there's a lot of clashing. And I've dealt with people who had to be very much in control, and I've been somebody's project before, where I'm gonna
Well, that's fun.
mold you into this thing, and on the
Yes.
surface, wow, this is great, but eventually you're very dependent on that person for validation.
Yeah.
So I started at ice cream, and I ended up at.
No, but
But
that it is good, and and it's true. I don't. I was going to say that sometimes women tend to make projects out of men, and I've certainly been with enough. That's going to sound wrong. I have been in a relationship or two where someone thought, whatever, they were going to make a project out of me, right?
it's
So
easier than it's sure easier than dealing with your own stuff.
it is, and yeah, and so I think that, like, again, when we kind of started this, I think anyone has to be mindful of that. And I think something about creative types, there's something that attracts people to us. Um,
It's
and
it's
then
it's
sometimes
very
they,
mystical. I think we're to a point we're a bit of a channel from the other side.
yeah, yes,
Uh,
I think so, that anyone who can step into that place where you totally are able to let go ever. And I haven't always been able to do that, but those times that when we're there, the part happens when you have someone like in your life that you're sharing, like with Lisa, who, first of all, if I haven't
Re-
mentioned, she's my girl crush
Renaissance
lately.
Renaissance woman, and
Yes, who
I'm
has
not
her own
jealous.
stuff
I'm not
together so
jealous.
much.
You have your girl crush. It's all good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I like, who has her stuff together, and it's just who's with you because she wants to be with you, and certainly not because she needs to. Like, that's what we need to. I think that's the healthiest types of relationships.
I've
Is
definitely checked for bumps on her head because, normally a musician is sort of a, ooh, again, it's that I'm going to throw myself into the fire. This is going to be great fun and it's going to be exciting and all this. But, you take away the hair and some of the superficial things that you see. And I'm still that 5-year-old kid that sometimes it's tough to get words out. I mean, I'm doing much better as an adult that way. But I remember I think it was the seventh grade, Teresa Bootler in science class wrote my life story because she was really bored in class and she handed it to me. And it was for the first 5 years of my life, I lived in the closet on mothballs and dust. I was a very quiet person. So she was kind of poking fun at that in a fun way. So yeah, so
Mhm.
it's kind of like having a big sister picking on you
Yeah.
in a nice way. She's never derogatory, but Lisa is the kind of person that she said, I want music in my life. And we joke that she was my stalker. She'd seen me around and she'd gone to the jams and, you know, oh, hi, just sort of casually bump into you. And another big funny that we have is that, we met at the Legion and she approached me. I was kind of aware that she was there, but I was sort of in the middle of a relationship that was falling apart at the time. So the timing wasn't quite that good, but eventually I figured out that the relationship I was in was not healthy and it wasn't going anywhere. So eventually that ended, and that opened me up to do something, to pursue something with Lisa that was far more healthy, far more collaborative. She already had her life together. She was just, and not offering her life to somebody else to say, I'm here, you can be here, and every now and then we'll intersect. And it's this collaborative effort. She's just made it really easy for me to be myself, be a musician,
Mhm.
and not without responsibility, not without bringing in some dough and keeping the roof on the house and the cats fed and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's a partnership, and I love those kinds of things,
it,
right?
it,
It's
it
it's
probably couldn't have happened in my 20s. You know, there will be no wine before its time. I'm
Mm.
aging more like whiskey than wine. I think wine doesn't take quite that long, but
Yeah, I don't know them all well enough, but being Scottish, I will have to say it is probably Scotch. I think those are the ones that
I,
need to be in the barrels for the longest time. My sister-in-law and I were joking one day, and we said, yeah, it took us till we were like in our 50s to be palatable human beings. Like it took us, we might have been cute, we might have been doing things, but for us to actually kind of have it together a bit, maybe others are
we could
better suited for such things at a younger age. I was not.
we could argue that maybe life has a little more meaning. Maybe we pine for the past a little bit because we can't jump over that mountain like we might have at one time. But I think back to what would my high school self or even my 20-something self think of my 55-year-old self. And I'm looking at a guitar on the wall right now that I saw in a music store in 1983. It's not that exact guitar, but it looks a lot like it. So I'll pull it down. And it was the first Les Paul I'd ever seen for real. And
Right.
fast forward to I can't say who, but this guitar was actually gifted to me by a very good friend, and I'd done some work on his album for him, and I might not have made a move on it otherwise. But it's just funny that it has exactly the same finish as that guitar that was, it was only $700 in 1983 money. But and that guitar nowadays might have been worth I don't know, $3,000 or $4,000 in
Right.
today's market, the same model. So things just show up, and so it's not about lusting for a particular piece. I'm realizing more and more now. And Lisa will laugh out loud at this. I've got everything I need. There's times when you're looking for a little piece that has a particular sound that you're after, or there's a novelty. There's still that 15-year-old kid in me that, sees a squirrel or sees a shiny thing. It's part of being sort of an eclectic human being, I think, and keeping your childlike attitude towards things. The album I'm working on right now, I would have put on in high school at 18 years old, 19 years old, a little cassette in my ghetto blaster. It would have been that kind of music that I would have been interested in listening to then. Is that because I haven't grown up? Not really. That stuff sticks in your head when you're very young.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, there is something about that. I thought when the day comes and me and the people who are all my age, I don't know how people are going to come and just play their piano and sing along with all us that were teenagers I was a teenager in the 70s. I'll be 65 in a couple of months, right? And I'm thinking, how are they going to come and they're going to be doing Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones?
yeah.
Maybe a little ZZ Top. My when we go and if I go, would do stuff at my mom when my mom was still living at her home. It'd be easy for even me, and I don't consider myself. I mean, I play things to accompany myself, right? So I could sit down at the piano and do many things from
Yeah.
the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It's three chords and sing loud, and it would be okay. But I don't know how anybody is going to pull off the music that we are going to be wanting to remember. It'll
Yeah, sometimes you can get big ideals when you're thinking of a reunion. My college music reunion, Case in point, I mean, we were a little more realistic about what we could and couldn't play. A lot of us in our group haven't played since college.
Mm,
Some of us have become professional musicians. Some of us have been off and on professional musicians. Some of us have been weekend warriors since then. So they're still in touch with it to a degree. So it was kind of fun being sort of the hired gun at my reunion because, yep, whatever, just throw it at me. It's amazing how stuff would just come up under the fingers fairly quickly
oh, it's
because I'd
beautiful.
never been away from it. That
Right.
was, but what a way to serve that group. They could feel comfortable just throwing anything at the core band members. They'd put the core session guys in there and just plugging in everything.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so it was pretty handy.
Oh,
And
that's
then
a,
they could feel that even though they hadn't touched it for a while, they could feel like they were still in the group and contributing, and that they don't have to worry about sounding like
yeah.
um,
And it takes you
sounding.
back, right? Everyone,
Oh, sure.
the music takes us back. I mean, if I'm driving down the road, let me tell you, and Radar Love comes on, the chances I'm going to get a speeding ticket.
Yeah, it's a driving song.
It is. I can't, it's just, there's certain things and everybody, if, and there, I know there's different, there's different decades and everybody has their own thing, but there's certain ones. And if you say it and all the people that are sort of that same age or, usually it's a 10-year bounce either way. And we sort of
Yeah,
have the same kind of musical stuff of it. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, the chances I'm not getting a speeding ticket when Radar Love comes on are just, I have to like, okay, get it together, Nana. You can't.
yeah. Oh, and back to things from our youth. We remember times and places where we heard a song for the first time. Might have been a special occasion, or it might have been just walking down the beach and you hear something coming out of somebody's convertible on a stereo.
Yeah.
Lots of instances like that.
And you remember the person, I'm just sitting here thinking, this is so funny. I have not thought of this person. And I bet you 50 years, I had the biggest crush on a guy named Stacey McGowan. Oh my God, he was cute.
A good
And
Scottish name.
yeah, he was a wee bit older than me as well. So he had a car, and and I'm gonna say it was a Datsun, some Datsun with booted up tires and a great thing. And I can remember, I don't know, we were cruising one time because that's what everybody chips in 50 cents and get
Yeah,
$2 worth of gas and off you go. And Radar Love came on, and
yeah,
Stacey
yeah,
McGowan was driving, and he was just grooving to this song. And you know what? Right now, I don't remember the last time I've thought of that, but at this moment, I remembered cruising around Coquitlam, BC, which is where I grew up, and Stacey McGowan, and I'm pretty darn sure it was like a 510 Datsun or something. That I would have to ask someone else who might correct me on that.
yeah,
Well, wasn't that a great memory? I wonder what he's doing these days.
yeah. And I could look out into your audience and probably handpick 200 people right away that have a very similar experience
Yes.
involving a car or involving a song or involving a
Yeah.
crush or any
Super
of that.
cute guy or
Yeah,
girl
absolutely.
or what, yeah, that's somebody that just made your heart skip a beat when when they came in the room. Oh, that's
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, Stuart, I can't believe we're at the end of our time. That's just how ridiculous is
Oh,
that.
can I put a
I
couple more
know.
quarters in? And
I'm gonna beg you to come and do another one if that's okay, because
oh, hey,
I
I'm
think
just sitting here doing nothing, just amassing instruments and,
That's awesome. Well, this was great. I like this. This was fun. Thank you. Thank you for this.
until
And
next time.
yeah, until next time. So thank you, Stuart, and to our listeners, thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us for a little while today. Take care and do remember to find your joy. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you found a piece of your joy in this episode, I would love to hear about what came up for you so that we can continue to grow the impact of this show. Thanks again. See you soon. And remember, find your joy.